다 드링 거서 봐발라 되네 대바좀상게 좀 된데게 쉐이 콜로 통말 고베네 개발지 다 사르나 디년점 ane jabji changurumbu chi chadam nabe da shirugi densa ndiri ji tholiya ane da chögi chobo mangbu ji de zomje ane tholiya ane 당하랑 원에 지 가수다 지 최세를 제하고 고급을 충분해. 인두스디 고급디 송세 내 베베 나발랭기 상물이야. 참지 제시를 샤이.
Today here in Sarnath, very near the place where our teacher, the Bhagavad first turned the wheel of Dharma. In this monastery, this place for the study and practice of Dharma founded by Kenshin Chang Rinpoche, many of us Dharma friends have gathered together here. And for my part, I had this opportunity to teach the Dharma. And so I'd like to offer my welcome and greetings to all of you who have come.
아니 다들이 조데 잡지 청구를 붙이다 같이 전주랑整个 같이 있는 거 요래 다좀 붙이는 붙이미나 아니 지 구제 시불이야 시주기 냠렌제체 아딘제게 가수하다 배 최기 배 유용수 추구를 도수에 인상 강수지 텐데메 대바는 데메 강수 로마솔이야 된데 좀 수주 디토네 근데 지금 수수역이 미지나로리아 네 가수하다 미지기 랍자망부를 주된 토야지다 안다는 최소가 냠내 공배를 용하려 펜도시다 용거를 성구유.
So primarily during this period, Kenshin Tongpa Rinpoche has been giving a teaching on the lamp for the path of enlightenment. Now Rinpoche has spent his entire life doing the practice of the teachings of scripture and realization. And so now in this opportunity for all of you faithful students to hear him teach the Dharma, I think he is going to give you, he's giving you teachings that will be beneficial for you in this life and in terms of increasing and improving your Dharma practice.
다 지당 나랑 당부 재비는 게 이제 가수에다지 취시를 붙여 같은 게 최식이에요, 맞네. 다 이제 드레를 붙여제 그대로 차이나자 지 레를 붙이 시에과를 붙이 충분해. 마싱우만 로 카시에리아 디두사냥 어디지 가수에다 emotional high 차대를 거루지래. 디가블이야. 다 로직 나로비 두제 줄이야. 여군 된지 두지 실이야. 아니 레이션도 왜네 가서다. 최시를 전에 아무도 사지 끼지. 드네지 아주 깨지를 중세 드네지 차르지 제브레. 다 드네마 양 로카시 데 제아마 중데 emotional 로차 대베거 개조하마 중데. 다들이 아직 미카시지 드시에 통해 아고도스. 엔 마신에 미망고시 조조 다 미망고시 타 릉분에 가시보다지 로조 망부 당시 당연사리아 용세지 최로 쉐로 지승들이 용등도 다나 신기 야미 망부지 와 용 마토버든데 미망고 싶지 않디야. 근데 두산에 다 디기들이야. 지 가수르다. 펜도 지슈르디 the live webcast somewhere 내를 제시하나. 에너지 가수르 쿠란소레 펜도체 강에 시다면 딘데지 용서를 삼체. 더 조조디 엔 참참 지 live webcast 토는 지 마지 최로 가시지 시야 중나 타 정부의 연계된 줄이야 펜도르 용도 메르 섬을 드리지 제물에 다티 글리 제제 엔더리디 다 타마들 다 간다 디네데 다 간다 드리지 최시야로 드리 중벌에
To be perfectly honest, when I came here, I really didn't have any particular plan to teach the Dharma. But then, however it is that it occurred, it seemed like it was necessary to teach some Dharma here. Now, a few years ago, when I was when I was feeling like an emotional high, then at that point, we had this plan to teach the Dharma in each of the 4 seasons. So in each season, we do a Dharma teaching, and we did that once. But then, over the course of a couple of years, we were unable to do that. Perhaps it was an emotional low, and we didn't do that. At any rate, when I came here, there were some people who said that it would be good to teach the Dharma. And also, there are many people who have come here who have undergone a lot of difficulty, who've come from far away, paid a lot of expenses to come here and see me, to come here, and they have asked for teaching. There are also many people who are not able to come. And so it seems like the best way to bring benefit to those people would be to have like a live webcast of the teachings. Because this is very beneficial for them and it's not so difficult to arrange. So, however it is, it seems like a good idea from time to time to teach the Dharma, to do live webcasts, and this is something that is very beneficial for all those people who are far away, I think. In any case, this opportunity to teach the Dharma now did come to pass.
다트네 가시자다 다트인지 시야의 최대 가르시 세세 최대 가르스나 아디 까마바 까마바 군지게바 미규도 제샤베 치동 갸자마 치동 갸자 샤자레 디나로다 치통통 망부 다 치통통 망부야레 제자 디나게 치 제자번 리송지 직니르지데 마 셰투나 가레상 나랑 남균 주주를 좀 배걸이야 삼삼 데 지동자스디 베시 셰체지마 더유 데 펜도르지 나랑라 펜도 예버르지 초와 전부 예버르지 데 정도 제자 안에 디기다 롱균디 주이네 예버르 데 루산 디균세 데네 양 디토나 마지 티 레레니레 마 슈토바 종이 미나 안에 나라조 창로라 펜도 중그레사베 로요.
Now the Dharma that I will be teaching comes from a collection called 100 Short Instructions by the 8th Karmapa Dorje. And this is a collection of many short instructions. And so I thought I would teach 1 or 2 of the instructions that And the reason I thought this would be good is because from time to time I myself take a look through these 100 short instructions, and I really feel like they are very beneficial for myself. And also I have the lineage of the oral transmission. And so for that reason, I have the hope that teaching one or two of these short instructions will be beneficial for you all.
다 이내야 지 최셰스도 산에 다 들어가서 가지고 진짜수 되버지 말해 이제 랍제는 진짜수 되버지 배 knowledge 여버지 저기 말해 최세하네 이제 knowledge som을 지 로정 여버지 비만 지바 다 냠내 고요 미 잠시에야 마치 잡네 티 세두사 가르쳐서나 다 가이드 저버지 제제 다 간다 가주다 간사디 지 라바숨기베 강반르지나야 티고여바 디 티고두산에 미코랑레지 라바숨게다 냠내르지 고여레 딘데지 예베 토네 다 라바스 딘데 토네 엔마 가이드 체토르마도베 라바숨 냐네 강가 메비지게 마 티체네 람나 티마스게 요마네 다들이 두자베네 소소르비지미 딘데다 가주레 냠뇽을 짓다 에능에나 냠낸다 파샤네 knowledge 데 야부스타요 마네 따임비네야 디스 메바르 디스 용디야레 삼산지 다 에지 야부지 마 티니즈 마로이도 딘데 존에 야부도 와삼바르지 응원게지 라마 고마데스요게 남탈리비네야 제수이란다 메바르지 게용도 드네 인두산에 디균전에 되네다 메바 신제게 메바예바 잠시당 아니 가슈레 dum바예바 잠시 딘데지게 토나 마시야 마도 베신다 나란베 딘데게 가슈레 롭존 유에네 당 야나지 냠렌지 유에베 왕도 다네 슈토야스게 mendu 제자다디 예 가슈레다 녜리아 notice 말베 디기란솔이야 마지 휴시야나
Now, when we teach the Dharma, it's not like...
아디 notice 레가레 년다르지니 붕붕붕세 깨야주바 삼성 다디미 가서 아무것도 유시
And so sometimes when we teach the Dharma, it's not like teaching in a classroom. It's not a question of there being knowledge, and not a question so much of studying and knowledge. Rather, you have to have practice. You have to have the practice. And when you are giving these instructions, the instructions, here the word in Tibetan, chi, means guiding. So it's like you're guiding. You're guiding people into individuals through the practice. So when someone wants to be able to do the practice, if you want to guide someone through the practice of the three trainings, it's like guiding them through a house. They need someone who can guide them along the way and show them how to do the practice. And so if the Lama does not have experience of the practice and does not have experience of the practice of the three trainings, then the Lama can't really give an instruction in this way. Really, it's something that has to be mixed with our own experience. But for me, forget about any practice. I really don't even have any knowledge. But I do have a lot of interest or longing for this. And when I read these, I get the strong feeling that, oh, if I could teach this, or this would be really helpful and beneficial. I get the feeling, if that could happen, that would be really good. When I think about it, I think about the examples of the lamas in the past, and I rejoice in those examples, and I feel longing towards those examples. And so, in this way, for that reason, I'm giving these instructions mainly out of this sense of longing and this interest. And so that is really the only basis of this teaching. Other than that, I really don't have any study. I really don't have any practice to really be able to teach from it. So I'm just trying to make this clear, like make an announcement of this at the beginning of this teaching.
다들 민체인데 좀 보시죠. 다 간다스 두부 간다서. 단도나 까만 감상기 3년 남라. 3년 남라다 치수제가 선한다도. 뒤에는 제이 다들이 제이 쇼스터마스. 드리지 순고야래. 단도나 까만 감상기 3년 남라 치수제가. 다디 버레 인두산에 다디 팁수를 세면 팁수 2번은 얘기를 당번은 야만 2번은 야래.
So the instruction that I will be teaching today is titled Rules for Karmapa Meditators. So this is sometimes called the rules, sometimes it is called the regulations on yellow paper. At any rate, it's the Rules for Karmapa Meditators, and it is in the second book on page 328.
다치 다음에 소다 저도 중앙에 줄으셔. 대치디 저도 중앙에 줄으셔. 제가 친구지 저도 중앙다 김발리아한테 디스양 친디로던 개발을 용으로 되는 시제 장도 집어주세요. 최신냠내 제가 봐도 저도 중앙에 김발리 개발시다요 만다. 지 physically this 개발을 좀 하도be the internally somewhere 근데 이제 개발시다 요마로 제가 아니 따임비냐 마신디 지당 미규들지 지동자나 이거 치상로 serious practitioner 다들이지기야 공원에 송대야를 제가 마 당화마 나셔 되게 상으로 배 가수지 넘보들지 다나 신기 배 가수에 배 크두를 시야요 아래 제가 디지기야 당분에 가수에 이제게다 삼년나 저지 거에 버제라 마시 안티나 참참 가상 뭐지 랍송한 센데 르 동사디 야우민도스 디 spiritual suicide relations. They are beginning this. Just a diligent current name ya board is higher base. The native is to do Jeza, ya the native in there. Jeza Dambun is some real Namulia, Chaji, which is this and I will get a single.
Now, these instructions here in these rules for Karmakamsa meditators, they're primarily given for monastics, and of course there are some slight differences between lay practitioners and monastic practitioners. Actually, fundamentally, there's really no difference in the actual practice, but on the physical or the external level, there are some distinctions between the monastic and the lay practitioners. But internally, there really isn't much of a distinction between the two. Now, something that we need to understand in thinking about these instructions by Mikyu Dorje, about all of the instructions in this book, they are all given for serious practitioners. And so sometimes these instructions are extremely forthright. They go straight to the heart of the matter. So they go straight for it. They're very direct instructions. Actually, sometimes I think, when I think about it, it seems to me that when we say that we have to give up on this lifetime, actually maybe it's not right to say we need to.
No. Some people told me.
Oh, some people have said to me that they think that we should not have to give up on this life. They say that when you think about giving up on this life, that is like spiritual suicide. And so in this way, this is something that we need to think about very well, and something that we need to understand from the outset.
Ready to preparation. 검은 감상기 삼대 반노라 지수 제바 가서 타바 초도 주분들 남제리면 믿음 비춰 봉어를 잡아 tun저 주고 쇼소 도시 상신 그 유이 전에 등이 중기 주에 실업지 내줘 받는 게 수근 삼대 물고기 미지 상계 년바 첨부 차와 누가 전신하나 소와시 탑지 바르까마 병원 주민기 시 무구 영어 뒤권도라면 기도 그 정보로 너도다 치도 깬도도 신경 없이 저 로아나.
And so to read the text, the rules for karma kamsa meditators, the stages of the path of eliminating negative conditions and accomplishing positive conditions for those people who wish to enter supreme liberation. In the ranks of the great Kaju Vajradharas, he who has the blessings of the spontaneous accomplishment of the two benefits, the crown jewel of yogis, and sole eye of all meditators, is called the great and powerful Sanjinyampa. If he appears to you, supplicate him. Bless me to be the nature of the glorious Karmapa, the unaltered mind, the essence of devotion, and all that is and devotion that is always brilliant, and a friend in good times and bad, who can withstand illness, death, and adversity.
다 gelong sunyi migyu sambola kanri chen de shu juba wala ngombra gawai so an depsi kyamne su yi cheba wenba la shu ba choba la shu ba nam didar no wa shu.
All of you here among the snow mountains who delight in practice and supplicate me, who have the image of the Bhikshu, Mikyu Sampo, and believe me to be a source of refuge, whether you live in solitude or in a community, please consider this.
다 디기 가르에 눈데 냠버 그와 쳬버 다 가르에 바 쳬버 제베 소르제샤 다 디기 차르제 다 될이야当维系党话呀，设备个里呀，可是这样，他觉得，大可能是老大，这当个确主本来呀，俺那看出来的这。매도 미루어다 가라서 챈들이야 샴바도 고야르스 챈들 로에 통화선에 장도 챈들이야 샴바도 고야르스.
And so that text is like the opening is like the homage of the text at the text, and then following this there are the actual instructions. Now, in general, when we want to accomplish the Dharma, what is indispensable is that we have revulsion for this life, that we turn our minds away from this life and feel a revulsion.
다들이야 첼려 동아들이야 다베 첼려 동에기 가르슈리 귀조디베 냠술랭 고아레 대제베도 귀조디 냠수 말라베네 첼로 려 동탑지 매베 임버레 드네 주산에 디주제데네 첼려 동에다 귀조 가림비니아 델리아 아주 로고야.
Now, if we're going to turn away or give up on or cast aside this life, then if we want to practice this, then we need to put into practice the primary cause for giving up on this life. If we do not do this, if we do not practice the cause, then there will be no way that we will be able to turn ourselves away from this life. So the main thing is we need to practice this cause.
다와나 첼로의 통에 귀조디 가레스나 다디 치와입니다바 리버사메아데 임브레.
And so what is the cause of turning away from this life? Well, it is thinking thoroughly or thinking carefully about death and impermanence.
제상 오늘 라마 고만나바 수역이 가르수노 아레스나 치와입니다바 마제베 이나 최야고 지금 말했어. 가르에서는 지당 아주 상물로 남식이 채나 니마지를 시도를 삼바르지 아주 상물로야 열었어. 이베니야 다 드린 시그 말에 선이식을 말해서 말하지 딘데지기 가수래가 미치베 가수래 초원진베가 로디 마시바 딘데제제 로디 야레스 제장 딘데지기다 가수래 챈딜리아베 가수래지 챈딜레베 등진 글로르 치게체 디기 챈딜레 등진 글로 게윤두사네 디기 안나 가가지 챈딜리아 지 디고도 디케션모도 지 챈디 주야래 디케션모도 필케션모도 상하고 디지긴 아니야 메신저라지 마도베기 디펜슈리아 상로 동아데 칼라카바샤디 알스
Now, what all the lamas of the past have said is that if we do not really contemplate death and impermanence, then we will not be able to practice Dharma well. And the reason for this is that, of course, we all know that at some day, one day, we are going to die. But we all think that one day, even if we're going to die someday, today we're not going to die. We're not going to die today. We're not going to die tomorrow. And so in this way, we spend our whole lives thinking only about the effect about this lives. And so in this way, this is the mind that is always thinking about this life. And so because we always have this attitude of thinking about this lives, then we always think about, oh, I need this in my life. This is important for my life. This is what I need to do. And we think about what we need to accomplish for this life. And so we use up our entire lives thinking about this without really ever thinking about what is going to be of benefit.
제자치 나로라 라르치와 남상 아주 치와입니다. 마신이 되게 많아요. 레지기 집 등진 로지에 인상이 치와입니다. 되게 많아요. 제마이네야 어느 거지 텐즈를 지 로리아 지 예유자마도 되게 미수의 용한 되게 많아요. dem마게와 이미 인상 아주 멋이 봐도 천디기에 가수라다 전두인의 경우 차와 경경 줍니 미기와 경경 체네 다 천리야 줍니 다 근데 천디 줍는 주산에 내가 천디기에 가수에 지 가수에다 춘소어로지 표순소고 또지의 인장 대리야 미신다기냐 어떤 미디베 전보지다 사람지 미디베 가수다 미디 전보직당 미고는 기부지래다 삼아버지 미신다기냐 그런 되었다 소수이네 다 알아배지 갈라간 삼아버지 야보르지 인인 삼아버지 전세 딱 한다 딘디지기 도안에다 미신다기냐 저 소소리야 딘데 가르르지 센드난 걸로디 게야 조르지 소수이네야 지가 센디나 샴바드베 체르체르를 친지데 내지지 돼요.
And so what it says in the instructions is, when do you ever think of death? So even if you do, it does not feel unbearable for you. So we never think about death and impermanence. And because we have this clinging to our lives as being eternal, we don't remember death and impermanence. And even if we do think about it, we just think about it for a moment, and we don't think about it until we get an unbearable feeling. And so for that reason, we spend all our lives. Thus you act unvirtuously until you die. And so we spend our entire lives doing things to overcome enemies and help our friends. And so we spend our entire life doing this. And as it says here, and we become so renowned for success in this life that people want to be like you. So we spend we get something that seems good in this life, and then other people say, oh, that person, he's really pretty good at what he does, or they're pretty good at what they do. They're kind of happy, aren't they? And so other people praise you, and then you yourself, you begin to think, oh, I'm pretty good good. And so in this way, other people think that you're good, they praise you and so forth, and then your own attachment and fixation upon your own life also grows stronger and stronger.
And during the Shambachana, Negum the journey of the show at 10 Chilogin Yotos. That is Yamawachana. Gemma use me in a church of a long way to Masami, church you genetic. Renduning Undu Suni, Kalama the Tembalange, Ningmenam the Jelly Zunduche, Poshamba Lovanam Yimu, Kankarbungun Shimandemardao.
And so it continues, when people fixated on the pleasures of the senses reach such a state, they leave the monastic community. Alas, we have but a moment, and Dharma practice is urgent. But we do not think about that. We put Dharma practice off till later and welcome caring for friends and subduing enemies first, using the Lama and teachings as an excuse. Mindless people are very diligent about such things, but those true heroes who have revulsion are distressed and shed tears from high up in the snow mountains.
가수에다 제가 아주 미신디 드나도도디 다 미신디 가수에다 지당에 아주 밀류사디 가수에다지 닝불렌토베이나 하나 아주 밀류디 가수 자심시다래 자심부제디 이미네 밀류디 에너지 가수에다지 가수에 하장 직라와 다나 지 치게는 예범이야 가두시도 되네면 드르비지 인두산에 디균전 때는 가수지 미질이야 닝불이야디 아니 가수지 친경함이야 비체체 아니 가수 에 튜토리아 미질이야 닝불이야 과데 지 투줄을 탐진을 비체체 아주 미질이 닝불이야 과데 계속시 차디가 알았어 아는 가수 든지기다 미질이야 가수 투줄을 탐진마 제비체체 안다스 가수 미질이바 촐라다샤비미나 지금 말해서
And so what this means is, in this human life, our human body is something that if we can really give it meaning, if we can make good use of this human body, then it is something that is very precious. But this human body itself is actually something that can fall apart very easily. It will perish easily, and we do not really. It's uncertain when the conditions that will cause our death will occur. And so if we are going to be able to give meaning or make good use, make the best use of this human body, then this is something that we have to do at that time. It's something that we have to do at the time that we have the human body. Otherwise, if we don't realize we have to do it when we have the time and instead cling to it as permanent, then and we let it go to waste, then that would not be okay.
다원한데 지 천리 뢰당确实사데 근데지레스 라비나 다지당 천리 뢰당와사들량 가수에다지 different degrees 사마바다지 고라 천리 뢰 등록배 름딩 타소마다 망부시다 남샤로 샤유기레 성도 다임비냐 지용 차나 지당 베이스기로 지 시야비미나 당아랑 그 섬주르 당아랑 섬주 시유이미나
Now, generally, when we talk about giving up on this lives or turning away from this lives and practicing the Dharma, what do we mean by that? Well, it seems there are actually different degrees of giving up or turning away from this lives. There are probably different ways that you could present it in terms of the highest, medium, and the lesser, and so forth. But on the basic level, this is what my opinion is.
따바라 아주 전문이 토리야 미다 통주를 통주 뒤주여 봐. 라 통주 뒤주. 다 통주 뒤주로 지 바지스로 지가 알아. 다 늘지 알아. 드리 주다. 드리 지다 미망 보십시오 알아. 디날다 미 참에기다 미시디. 지 소소소의 미시디 지 투모만 버지. 현다 만들어 지 체주에 되지 당 야면지 가수에지 지고에 대해서 진탕에 대해서 고거를 다 말했어. 야면에 미 강글로지 미지고아르지 상월로 가수에지 다 지담에 가수에 또 참에 가르치기 위해서한테 아 참에기 지 제경을 좀 하도지 미세지 소수기 미세들에베 미세 캐주얼을 지 다진 단어지 현다 만들어야기 유엔된들지 고거를 다 말해. 다디 삼동과디 개침을 지 차디가 알았습니다.
In this, on this planet, there are, about 7 billion people on the planet. And so that's an awful lot of people on this planet. But each of them, for their own life, there are these special aspects of their own life, these particular features that are different from anyone else's to their lives. And it's like they have to have their own particular weight or their own particular value to that life. Otherwise, if we sort of think of our lives, of everyone's lives as all being the same and don't feel any value, that people don't think that way. We feel like our lives need to have their own particular features. They're things, the specific features of our lives. And so it's important for us to keep this in mind.
참상 아주 그래지 용디가 알았잖아. 아주 삼로 마담시 소술이야. 남주 지예베이네. 남주의 배주에 마담 체제. 아니 생기 전장으로 하나 체대하는지. 그래지 용디가. 배차샤위면은 디상 뒤줄이야. 다 TV에 다나신 셀폰에 디지털에다 advertising 캡처하는 거지 용디도 와. 안디뉴나 결혼을 팬도 되게 용거래. 난네 녀를 네 많이 결혼 받지 미지 돌아랬어. 되게 인자 되게 다가나 advertising 소머르베다 다나신 캡처하는 거지 용디 야래. 제가 미망부지디 녀디였다. 미망부지기 녀디가 참여지 녀디에 인자 안주 소수지 녀고야를 차용 거래. 다 이미네 다 소수 녀고야 차디 컨디지래. 다디 소수에게 남주의 배주 땅에 고미고기 에네 가수에 제발 쟤네 에네 녀고야 땅 야나도 가스 미신다 녀고에 인자 소수 디테일이야 태베 소리 제제 에네 녀디가래. 제가 데일라 소리 딱 한다 가수에 나줄 남주의 요아래디 이비네야디 남주의 배주 땅이 아니 소수의 체도 상당히 가수의지 랑도르 이와르 체제 배주 땅내 버지 가르준 조메베르 시드니 지용이 알았어.
And so sometimes what happens is that we don't really think about things. We have intelligence, but we do not use our intelligence, and instead we just follow along what everyone else is doing. For example, there are TVs, there are cell phones, and so forth, and on all of these we see many advertisements. We see so many advertisements, and they all say, buy this. If you buy this, it'll be beneficial. If you don't buy this, your entire life will be wasted. You have to buy this. And so many people see these advertisements, and so everyone buys things. And so when everyone's buying things, it's like they get this feeling, oh, I need to have that too. But where does that feeling come from? Have we really used our intelligence to see whether or not we actually need that thing? Or are we just following along on the coattails of everyone else? So we have this intelligence, but we often do not really use it to really distinguish what is good from what is bad.
제상 아주 남규 아주 디 가르쳐다 뇌바다 괴바니 여 맞습시 다 뇌바다 괴바스도 가르쳐 want needs that 여 맞습시 다 뇌규디다 강한 뇌되어 다 아주 뇌배와도 다 샤비입니다 라게야 자메다 다이나 고규디 뇌규디를 도로임이나 고규디 뉴시에지 마도 여 말에 뇌발 타요 말에 이나 고규디다 뉴시에지 마도 여 말에 다 이미 내가 아주 디 고규는 뇌규디 여 맞을 제 군이 지세에 주사는 아니 뇌규 상마 거야 되는 게지 어디 여러 저블링이 알다 간다 지 가서 이제 총시에 ram들 망보지 녀투고요 말아 마도지 오늘 절다 뇌배와 다시 상마 거야 되는 게지 괜찮을지 여러 다 제가 이제 그wan도 다샤비미나 아니 버지다 나 상마로 깔아 가보자 돼야지 저진의 구유래 덤시 첨부 주고하래 아 다나 신기 아주 미진나로래야지 지 가르에 뇌배와도 다샤나다 디 동해 규지다 간다디 뇌바토도 마게베다 동해를 좀 하고 싶죠 하지 근데 또 안에 강에 마르줘야 마도베기 다 이침니 기부지 돼야지 깔아 가보자 돼 네 디균선 되네 아주 다지 남주로 디스 표주 당체 안에 다지 문에서는 공예시에 가르르도 다디 하고 지다 다나시 소설 이해버티 지 가르르 이침버르지 들리지기다 초시 서머로 다 들리지 라고 하되 다 계속 시라래샤
And so what happens is that we usually do not really distinguish what we want from what we need. And so the things that we want, of course, we all want them. And because we want them, we think that we need them. But there's no end to all of the things that we want. We always want more and more. In terms of what we need, there's actually only a very little that we really need, but there's no end to our wants. And so our wants are endless, but our actual needs are very few. But we don't distinguish these two, and because of that, we mix or we confuse our wants for our needs. And so if we think about it, there are many things to buy in the world, and we couldn't buy them all, but our desires, our wishes, that we feel like I need everything right now. And so this is actually a very difficult situation. Actually, if we think about it, it's a difficult situation for the world. If we think about the environment, it is something that poses a great that can create great difficulties or harm in the environment. And even also when we think about it in our own lives, then if we all want everything, then this is just something that is going to create more suffering and pain for us. We are just going to experience more and more of the pain of not getting the things that we want. And because of that, we will have more and more difficulties in this life. And so it is difficult for us to just be content or to be happy or satisfied with what we have. And so for that reason, we really need to use our own intelligence, and we need to determine, well, what is it that we actually need? And then it is also extremely important for us to be satisfied and content with what we have.
안에 가수로다 배 가수로다 칼세메 잡을 거면 아버지 들지 되스요 말에 다이면인데 쳇리 르동사디 쳇리 가수로다 지 당기 공도 쉬በ나 신기 남주에 배주만 당시 진지지다가 블라인드 som을 미롱게 배 셴버르지 미 줌니 다 간다 배지 로데아로지 남주의 믹좀니 다가는 로데아디 저기와 말했어 미지 가수로 당하지 남주에게 배 미를 당하지 안에대 가수에 지수수기 안에배 상행이 여러 채비시지 든지시지 로가데 다 계속 시라래 제자 최에서도 가르치랬어 다 신다 최에서도 자네배 용어 사고를 망보지 다 마치 최에서디 가시지기다 religious야 출루야 치디 고요되네 막아는지 어디가 아래 가서 게임도 나라는 참사되지 내가 루주도 다연주산다 출루야디 초진에 be create more problem somewhere 여러 사람 하는지 담보 제비는 출루 상물로 spiritual nerve지래다 간다 상물로지 다 예민에 제마한테 출루야디 지 오늘 전에기 되게 랑돌 냠내 차텔에 루스에디 계셔를 차지 안 루스에를 로다는 나디 근데 제어에서 로다는 좀 마차 연주사 에너지 줄루기 미신달이야 지고 루스에를 차 연주사네 엔 미주 루스에디 제나마다베 오늘 전에기 소수기 미진나로라베 랑돌 차들이야 에너비 최소 돈 랑돌 차들이야 그래서 돈아 마중으로 근데 돈이 제일 주산에 다디 준제 된다 가다가 강해로 지원디가 드리 주산에 다디 카스게 민도 이나양에 사는 최세사데 남아 상계면 하는 시합입니다 다 너는 기디 랑도로 차 소설이야 지 장다 신래야 펜바 가리바 뭐스미체 디 주야다 장다 신래 뇌바 가리바 띵외스미체 방아로 다 너는 기디 랑도로 차로 텔라야 뉴디오아레 다 되니 최체세나 마스나 단도나 아 되게 컨슈버네시 미지 상보지 게르베야라 다 간다 반자다 란전 뇌싱고로 마도 셰 미지 상보 게테 메베 인두사네 디준센테나 미지 상보 게세나 다도 최체세나 다도 되니 거 다르디 직버르지 고아로 직버르지샤 마도야 아주 최체세두사네 미지게야지 수두여지 최체야지 수두여지 군인이 배 가가를 차지 and sometimes 디지 가르쳐야 confusing 시비지 연대도 와다디 나 최체야네 제거도 뒤주민도 야 미지게고도 미지게도 야야 최마제는 저기민도 사로지 디버루들이야 confusing 마버지 연대야지 연대도
And so when we talk about giving up on this life or turning away from this life, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do anything at all for this life and not do anything to get any food and wander around going hungry without food or going without clothing. That's not what it means. When we talk about giving up on this life, it means that we have to use our intelligence. Normally we go about as if we're blind. We've closed the eyes of our intelligence, and we go about our lives with the eyes of the intelligence, with the eye of intelligence closed, and that is not a good way to lead our lives. And so what we need to do is we need to open the eye of intelligence. We need to distinguish what is good from what is bad and act on that. And so when we talk about Dharma, it's being able to distinguish this and able to differentiate this good and bad. Now, sometimes when we talk about what Dharma is, there are many different meanings that people talk about Dharma. And sometimes people say that Dharma is like a religion. And when they say it's a religion, sometimes then I look at the histories of religions, and reading them, I begin to feel like maybe actually religions, start to create more problems than they solve. Actually, all religions begin as something spiritual. But when they begin, but later they become something where there's something that you need to do and something you must not do. And so they become a way of doing things or a custom. They become like habits or customs or traditions, and that you just do them because they're customs or traditions. And so when that happens, then actually you are not really using your intelligence to see what it is in this life that you need to do and what it is that you should not do. And so that brings us a lot of difficulties. And this is something, you can't really blame people for this, but what I really think the essence of Buddhism is being able to distinguish what it is that we need to do from what it is that we need to give up. It's taking up virtue and giving up non-virtue. And so we need to identify what it is that will bring benefit to ourselves and others. And then we need to do that. And we need to identify what it is that will harm ourselves and others, and then we need to give that up. And so it really comes down, you can condense it all into doing what is good and giving up what is bad. And so in this way, when we talk about practicing in our lives, it's really just doing what we should do and not doing what we should do. And so you can give this many different names. You can say this is being a good person. You can say it is practicing practicing Dharma. But at some point, it's really the way we need to lead our lives. And so if we are going to be a Dharma practitioner, sometimes in our lives we feel like there's this big difference, a big gulf between Dharma and our lives. They're separate things, and there's this gulf between them, and this is a confusing situation for us. We feel like, okay, I need to practice Dharma, but I need to live my life, also lead my life, and then I don't have time for the Dharma, or I need to practice Dharma, but then I don't have time for my life, and it is a very confusing situation for many people.
Luxury tangi shebana shinji customs and traditional te zu ke yongje susu mizina rolia te intermediate teje de saru de mayba da luxury preservation jade wa ni zu khare da yimine ya zo zo de chegi nimbu sanam da do essence de yonggo yorba de ni ju sane ti junzen dene tangi shubna shin chegi essence de khare be gidik langdor chade imi ti mizinalo le keyo aji da ti mizinalo nyame chaji iji da sar tene indusan ti gi thone ango kashwe shema do ane ji lamlo lukse de sangmo le keyo na anga su ji pebale ji kashwe miseyang kurang ji lukse ma ko shtayo re da de chige mi ji chige gi be culture bu tene ji nan da be lukse de samsa ji lembo shtamen do 네 랍사 지 상하 도지 TV 냠는 체스도 사네 응만 지라 줘서 가시 근데 하나 쓰게도 하나 좋아하는 어디 상하 로마 차네 디 너미디스 가버시라 지금도 no welcome no welcome 다 버지 그 가르쳐야 돼요 서스 다 인류사네 지 참자 지 담이들 잘하는 담이들 여러 번 아주 상하 지 태반로든데 당 아다나 신지 담래 지 현안사로든데 가시 키는 조로 받아. 되게 어떤 민들이 꼭 가르 차수이나 지 캔사로 지고 디즈 마데 차수면로 삼바로 양면나 지기 가서 미두자든데 그 톡니 그 로가 주스면로 삼바로 받는데 데스그로 받아. 그거 그것도 디디야. 제자한테 상하냐면 제가 인지민직디 난 가시 쥐어 등에서 쥐어서 등도서 인지민직디 가서지 더루셴보 대당 다나 이 강링당 디소디 가르에 얘네들 쥐어 티디서 야부 못도지 이네 강링도 저 처리 상마 쳐야 근데라 쥐 용디도 드네 다디서 괜찮아로 지도 다디 룩스로 되 개체로 쳐야 돼. 지단도 고도고로 된 의미네 에센스 된데 말아. 드네 주스다네 다가다 최기 님부로디 미지나로레야 레토 체과디 님부 가르임도 하고 하지 디 미지나레 체과디 계속으로 주셔
And so when you talk about practicing Dharma or doing Dharma practice, then sometimes it's like this tradition or this custom. And then we think that what we need to do to practice Dharma is to take those customs and bring them into our lives. Now, if you're talking about preserving customs and so forth, preserving customs and traditions, that's a different situation. But the main thing is what we really need is we need to bring the essence of Dharma into our lives. And as I said, the essence of the Dharma is to do what is good and to give up what is bad. This is something that we need to bring into our lives and practice. Otherwise, if we think about it otherwise, and it's just the customs, well, all different peoples have many different types of customs. We come from many different cultures. Tibetans have their own set of customs, and then people from abroad have different sets of customs. And so what happens sometimes when people begin to practice the secret mantra Vajrayana, actually people come and they ask me about this. They ask me these questions. They say that they became a student of the secret mantra Vajrayana, but when they did that, then it's like they weren't welcome in their family. There was some friction in their family. So then I start examining, well, what is it that they did? Well, they went out and they bought all sorts of stuff. They went out and bought like skulls and drums, scary drums and so forth. And so the people in the family who don't know what's going on, they look at them and they wonder, have they gone off their rocker somehow? Is something strange going on with this person? I don't know, have they met some bad influence somehow? And so like when they think they're going to do the practice of the secret mantra Vajrayana, they think, I'm going to do cha practice. So they go out and buy this huge drum. And then they buy, the thigh bone trumpet, the Kangling trumpet. They haven't received any instructions on how to do it, but they've got their Kangling already. And so this is a case where they're practicing the custom, but they haven't really thought about what they need, the essence of the Dharma. And so we need to, the essence of the Dharma is really what we need to incorporate into our lives. And so we need to know what that essence is and then bring it into our lives.
제장 텐제베다 지가르에 기디 게저면 딱 한다베 레다 기디게 랑도르 차기 에베 차스난다도 다 되나다 기디 랑도르 차다 최스난다도 미지 되는 데가 게스난다도 미지 상보 용하기 차와디 뒤 다다네 제거야지 마도 베지 가서에 선이차 능이차 야면은 지 나게스도 차로 근데지 말스 되다네 배치고야지 다 아니 지슈메 봐 아니 다다네 뭐 주고야지다 다다네 채고야지 아 응원가 라마 타고 만나 주송번지 땡통 딩이도 쓰베 아 다다 덴디강 데베진 코란네 배고 주고야지 다나시 가담 벨라마 고만나 버츠기 삼바의 제바 뒤냠바시 거바 인스 송번지 배 최대 삼 제고 삼배 급네 다바 제바단 대수 뒤냠을 주고 그러마도 성규 삼바지 지규디양 제네 고주가를 제비미나 안 뒤남에 아직 최냠을 제도 말해서 다들 이제 인주산 디준센 되네 간다 드리지기 가주다 가주에 inspirations 그래 inspiration이라고 이제 드리지 봐야지 개체물을 개체물을 임자.
And so we need to be able to distinguish what it is that we need. We need to distinguish how it is that we can take up the good and give up the bad. And if we do that, that was what is meant by giving meaning to our lives, being a good person, practicing the Dharma. And so when we think about it, if we are going to do this, this is what it means, and we need to do this now in our lives. We might think that we have our whole lives to do it, but we need to start doing it from today. This is not something that we should think, oh, I can start tomorrow, or I can start the next day, or I can do this when I'm older. We need to do the Dharma practice now. We cannot postpone this. We need to start it right now. The great masters of the past often said that, may I do this on this very seat. And what that means is while I'm sitting on this very cushion, I need to start doing the Dharma practice. The Karmapa masters say that you should have your intention and your action at the same time. So this means that when you think of something that you need to do, you should do it right then. If you think of something that you want to do and think, I'll do this later, then you'll never get around to actually practicing the Dharma. And so it's important for us to have this sort of inspiration in our lives.